going on, everybody? Welcome to the Silver and Gold. We're starting a football podcast mainly regarding the San Francisco 49ers and the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm Josh.
And I'm Mike.
And before we get into anything about the current state of the Raiders and 49ers, we're going to talk about our background with football in general and why we're sort of getting into starting this podcast. So, Mike, I don't know if you want to take the floor and, just start off.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm a lifelong Raider fan. I was born a Raider fan, but I didn't really get into the Raiders until I went to a game in 2009 against the Philadelphia Eagles in Oakland. And tight end for the Raiders named Zach Miller scores an 86-yard touchdown. And I was a sixth grader in middle school, and I was just like, yeah, I'm hooked, And, up until that point, I was a big baseball fan, but from that moment on, football was 100% it for me, and the Raiders were my team. Yeah. What about your story as a Niner fan?
Yeah. So I kind of come from like a similar background in terms of like, I was really into baseball growing up. I played baseball ever since I was like 4 years old, probably even earlier,
Same.
Knowing my dad was like super into baseball.
Yeah.
And so my dad is a Giants fan, and he doesn't hate the A's. Like, he kind of likes both teams, but like, if you ask him like what his favorite team is, it's definitely the Giants. It's not even a question. But so since I had that baseball background growing up, I chose to be a Giants fan. And in around 2010, just before the 2010 season is when I really started to watch professional sports. And, I started off with baseball. And so since I had already picked the San Francisco team to be my team, I figured, why don't I get into watching football? Because, I just figured, it's kind of time. All of my classmates were like really into football and talking about it. And I really didn't know that much about the sport. And, I think the first game that I can recall watching was the NFC Championship game against the New York Giants. Jim Harbaugh was the coach. I think that was in 2011. But I remember just hearing stuff about the team before then, like when Mike Singletary was the head coach and they were awful. And then they turned over the team to Jim Harbaugh. And then they won a bunch of Super Bowls after that. And, they lived happily ever after.
Yep.
And but honestly, the Niners have just been like super interesting. I'm a huge fan. I follow the team. I practically watch like content and other content creators every day. And so we kind of just wanted to create our own show. I've known Mike since I was in elementary school. I think since I was in kindergarten, we used to take the same bus to school.
Yeah. Both live in the Bay Area.
Yeah, both Bay Area natives. And, we just we really sort of connect on a football level. We co-run a fantasy football league too. So we're all dialed in. I do want to also say that we're going to be giving a fan's perspective. So we're not like insiders of the team. I don't think anybody's expecting us to be, but we pay pretty close attention to like what's going on around the league. And so, with that being said, we're going to be able to give opinions on each other's teams, where it's not like we're going to know every single thing about, I'm not going to know everything about the Raiders. He's not going to know everything about the Niners. I probably know more since I pay more attention to the team. And I like to shit talk the Raiders a little bit, but I just want everybody to know that I respect the Raiders. They're a great historic organization. And ever since I've been alive, I've grown up with Raider fans, and they have sucked like every single year since I've been alive. And then not only did they suck, they said, you know what? We're moving to Vegas. So it's like,
I thought you meant the fans. I was like, ouch. But I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. But there was a point in time where I could have chose. It was between the Raiders and the 49ers. And I said, you know what? I already like the San Francisco baseball team. I'm going to choose the 49ers. My dad was also a 49er fan.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can't lie. I used the Raiders in NFL Street on the PS2. I would play that with my stepbrother Ben growing up too. And so he was actually a Raider fan. And so whenever he and I would play each other, he would choose the Raiders and I would choose the NFL Legends. And like, you know, if you don't know about NFL Street, the NFL Legends is like stacked with talent. But I was a little bit younger than he was, so it was like it was a way to even the playing field, because the Raiders were also pretty good in that game too, which was probably the last time they were like really, really good, unless you count 2016.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say real quick, I think the reason why we decided to do this podcast is just because we talk so much football, just the two of us, just all the time. And like you mentioned, you know, our fantasy football league, like, it's just nonstop, and it's nonstop shit talk. It's nonstop everything. But yeah, football is always on the mind. I mean, we are dead in the off season right now. It's the day of the schedule release, and here we are. What are we doing? We're talking football. So, you know, I think it came to a point where we just decided, why don't we just do a podcast and, you know, say our thoughts for others to hear, because they're, in our opinion, they're good thoughts. So
yeah, no, I mean, how many times have I told you, dude, didn't I say that before? And then it fucking happens. And I'm like, dude, I called it. And we just decided we need a platform so that way we can keep our receipts. And then whenever we say something stupid, one of you guys can hold us accountable, you know, and post it. But, you know, with all that being said, it's all love, it's all respect.